Okay, thank you for joining me again, you guys. Okay, like I promised, I have a actual copy of a credit report. This is from Experian, but it has all three credit bureaus included in this report. So usually the report is the first page. It just tells that um, the date that the report was printed or given to the client or okay, so usually on the credit report, they all kind of are similar. They have a table of contents, and in the table of contents, you get to see the type of accounts. We have the personal information. We have the report summary. We have any public records, credit inquiries, then the credit card loans, and then usually the credit score. Now, some places don't give credit scores. You have to pay for them. And in most cases, let's say you're going to apply for a loan and you have a 750 credit score. In most cases, those applications are going to get an instant approval because the score is so high. So now, under the personal information, I just blocked some of this information out because this is one of my actual clients' credit reports. Okay, so then on we have the personal information and on this area, and what you'll find here is your name and any other name that you went by. Let's say you're married, or maybe your parents were married and they got a divorce and you went back to your mother's maiden name. So any names that you have been known by, or maybe that you put on an application or anything, will be in your name area. Then we have the year that you were born. Um, Not sure why they don't put the whole actual birthday. That's just something that they do. It could be security measures, because if I'm a person that is looking to find your credit report, you don't want to have the whole social or birthday in the credit report, because if I'm not supposed to be looking at the credit report, then I can have access to all your information. And that's kind of catch 22, because I can't get your credit report unless I have all your information. So then you'll have addresses. Now, this is the thing with the addresses. The addresses are very important on a credit report, because everywhere that you live or anywhere that you register your name to live will show up on your credit report. I've had situations where people have been victims of identity theft, and you'll see these addresses. Like, I have credit clients whose address lists go all the way to the bottom of the page. And what I like to do is I like to work on the addresses first, because if someone has used your name to apply for any type of credit, then that address, or the address that they use to apply for the credit in your name, will show up on your report. And in most cases, we try to get those addresses either removed or corrected, so that we can go ahead and get the accounts taken off as well. But just make sure that when you look at your credit report, that every address that you see on your credit report is an actual address that you've lived at, that you've resided at, and that no one has used your name and applied for any type of credit, because then that information will be inaccurate on your report. Okay, so the next line on this, we're still on the personal information page. So the next line on that will be your current or your previous employer. Now, not every employer will report to the credit bureaus that you've worked for them, but most major companies and major businesses will. Hospitals, schools, and things like that. So if someone is looking at your credit, that's how they say employers can look at your credit report. So if someone is looking at your credit report and they want to check the places that you work, they very well can find it on your credit report, or also they can do an employment verification, which will register any employer that has registered your social security number with their company. Okay, so now the next page on a credit report will kind of look something like this. And this is just, I'll put it up so you can see it, a report summary. And on the report summary is usually the page that I kind of look at first when I get a credit report, because it'll tell me a little bit, just like a summary version of what's going on with the client. We first have real estate. So if the client has any type of properties, any investment properties, or has been a co-signer, on a loan for any type of real estate or property or investments, those will show up first. So in this case, this client has no real estate, so there is 0 across the board. Okay, so then now we have a revolving credit. And a revolving account is anything that the balance revolves on. Your credit card payments, any type of credit cards, or anything where the balance or the credit limit stays the same, but the payments can be paid monthly in that situation. So in this case, on Experian, we're looking at 6 revolving accounts. On Equifax, we're looking at 4, and then TransUnion, we're looking at 5. Every credit bureau reports the information that's given to them by the creditors. So if a creditor hasn't reached out to Equifax, then that account won't show on Equifax. And you can always call and get them to report, but because in most cases they do, but sometimes they don't. It causes the creditors to report on your credit report. So now we're going to go to installments is the next category. And an installment loan is any type of loan that you pay the balance on, and the balance goes down as they receive payments. So these are things like your car note. It could be an installment loan, personal loans, and things like that. So you get a car note and the initial balance is $16,000, and every month you pay $500. So eventually the balance will continue to go down as you make the payments. In this case, this client has 6 on Experian, 7 on Equifax, and 6 on TransUnion. That's a lot of accounts. Okay, and then we have other. Here in the other, we only have 1 other account on each TransUnion and Equifax. And other can be a number of things. It could be light bill, gas bill, things like that fall into that category. And then at the bottom, we have collections. A collection account is an account that an original creditor just sold off to a collection agency. And it is the collection agency's job to actually collect this debt. And they have several tactics. Some of them are not as ethical as others. And everybody is like bothered by collection companies. And there are rules and regulations to the things that they are allowed to do and are not allowed to do. I'll do a separate video on collection agencies and collection accounts. But right now we're going to just stay focused on reading the actual credit report. So in this case, I've actually worked on this account. So we're down to 1 collection account on Experian and Equifax. TransUnion has 0 collection accounts. I just want to put it up there so you guys can see. Okay, and usually with all of these, I'm going to go back up to the top. We have the number of accounts, because this is, like I said, this is the summary. So we have the number of account, we have the balance, and when they put the balance, it'll be the total balance of all accounts, because like I said, this is the summary. So under revolving, installments, others, and collections, we have the balances for these accounts, and they're all totaled up. And then we have the accounts that are current, meaning that they're up to date and they're paid in full, so that, you know, that's understood. And then we have the accounts that are delinquent. So in this box, you'll have count, the number of accounts, this is all total, balance, the current, the delinquents, and others. Others could be things like late payments, or if they made a partial payment, or maybe if they went over the balance that they had, because you know you can go, if you have a $300 balance, you can go over it. The creditor just has to approve for you to go over. Yeah, I know that sounds crazy. Okay, so now on the next page of a credit report, we have the public records. Now, on this one, it says bankruptcies and court judgment, because those are public records. A bankruptcy is a public record. Any type of judgment filed against you is a public record, as well as foreclosures. So between these 2 pages, let me get this one right here. Between the summary and the public record page, I can look at these 2 pages and tell exactly what type of credit repair we're going to be handling in this case, because once I see the summary, the summary is usually going to tell me how many collections we're looking at. I can't get the late payments if there are any late payments from the summary, but I can get the collections, and if there are any public records, they'll show up on this page. And as we can see, this client has no public records. I believe they started out with no public records. I'll do a video and we'll talk about bankruptcies, we'll talk about collections, we'll talk about judgments and how to actually get those removed from your credit, or if you can't get them removed, what steps we can take to get them reported in a positive state, okay? Because that's the name of the game, is to get everything, or to have more positive information than we do negative. You don't have to get everything removed off of your credit to see those high numbers. You just have to know what steps to take to get more positive credit than negative, okay? So now, the next portion of a credit report is going to be inquiries. Inquiries, inquiries, however you want to pronounce it. These are the little things that affect our score. Very small, but if you have enough, can make a big impact. Now, you get an inquiry every time you go and apply for a line of credit. And you can also always ask a creditor, is it going to be a hard pull or a soft pull? Because soft inquiries, they don't really affect your score at all, and then the hard ones, they do, but it's not. It's 10 points. It's 10 points every time you apply for something. Okay, so in this case, she has a couple of inquiries. They stay on your credit report for 2 years approximately, and on this, it'll tell you kind of where these. I use this to build credit. I use the inquiry sheets on each one of my clients to build credit, and I'm going to tell you how. Okay, you see this, I'm on the wrong site. This is Bank of America, right? Well, Bank of America in this case only pull from Experian. So I'll know that if I have a client that's going to apply for Bank of America, to check their Experian, because that's more than likely where they're going to pull for that client. So you see, it's no Equifax, it's no TransUnion, it's only Experian, and the information of the inquiry is in this area. So we have the business name, the date, and then the type. So you can actually tell what type of credit this was. Okay, so this was a credit card. So my next client that comes to me is looking for a credit card, and I can look at their score and I can say, oh wait, I can pull you a Bank of America credit card and I know you'll get approved because your Experian score is this. And that's a great way, if you have a credit repair company, to get your clients approved by just taking notes and researching your previous clients, or you could do all your clients at once, their inquiries, and you'll see where these companies are pulling from. Okay, so inquiry page is kind of long. You can have a lot of inquiries. People can. Okay, now here we go. Now this page right here, the next portion, is the actual accounts. So from that summary page that we have, these are the actual accounts. This is what the bread and the butter of a credit report is. So now as you see, we have Experian, we have Equifax, and we have TransUnion. In this case, there's nothing being reported for TransUnion. It's not to say that this account is not reported to TransUnion. It's just to say that on this line, there's no TransUnion for this account. And it could be because this is a collection account. This entire trade line is a collection account. And these two are reporting from the original creditors, and TransUnion may be reporting from the collection account. Okay, so let's kind of dissect this really quick. So on the top of each account, you have the account name. So, oh, I'm sorry. So this right here, this line right here, usually right here, it'll be what the account name is. It'll also be the first line in the actual box. Okay, so account name, Capital One Auto Finance, and then the next line will be the account number and then the account type, auto financing. So when they say account type, they'll tell you whether it's a credit card, whether it's a personal loan, bank loan, auto financing, furniture store. They'll give you that. Okay, and then the next thing is the balance. Now, this is where credit repair comes in and can really help you to get items removed, or if that is the case. Okay, so we'll look at the balance and say, hey, is this the balance that you agreed to? Is this the original balance? Is the balance that you agreed to pay every month? Or is it different? In this case, the balance is zero because this was a car that was obviously paid off. So the balance is a zero, and then it goes to say a past due balance. So if you have any late payments, any balance that's past due, it'll show up on your report. So let's say you go purchase something that costs $1,000 and you leave a balance of $500. That balance is going to show up on your report. It's going to show what your original balance was, and it's also going to show what your past due balance is going to be on this account. Okay, so the next thing is going to be the date open. So it's the date that you opened the account. That'll show this was opened in 2006, a long time ago. And then something will tell the account status. The account status is just whether the account is open or closed. In most cases, if the trade line is a good trade line, if everything is paid in full, there are no late payments on the account, I suggest to keep those type of accounts open. It's no need to close those type of accounts unless, like, this is a car payment. So once the car is paid in full, in most cases it's closed by the creditor. But when you have credit card balances and things like that, try to keep them open. If you want to use like maybe 1% of the balances on the card, pay a cell phone bill, pay it off, that's great. But we want to keep those accounts open because account history is a decent chunk of your credit score. So of course you want to have some old accounts to add on to your overall credit score and consumer report. Okay, so the next one is going to be payment status. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This one is monthly payment. And the monthly payment is like, because this is an installment account, it will have that monthly payment. Okay, and the monthly payment here was $383. So if I'm someone going to lend this person credit, I can see, hey, okay, they're comfortable with paying $380 a month for whatever it is. Okay, so then the next is going to be the payment status, whether it's going to be paid satisfactory, pay as agreed, 30 days late, 60 days late, 90 days late, 120 days late, or charged off. And we definitely don't want to see any of the late payments or the charged off payments on our credit reports. We want to see paid satisfactory, paid in full, paid as agreed. Okay, the next is going to be a high balance. The high balance is just what the original loan is for. In this case, it was a $14,000 loan. And they, in some cases, they may put that information. They may or they may not. It puts the limit and then the terms and then comments. In the comment section, I just want to show you guys this right here. So when you're repaying your credit, and if you're sending off any type of disputes, whether it's mail, email, fax, you can call in a dispute to an actual an actual collection agency. So if there's any type of dispute in the comments, there should be a comment that says that this account is in dispute, or that the consumer feels like this information is not accurate. And if it's not, then by law, you are able to get that account removed, because this is something that they have to do. They have to put in the comments that you disputed this item. In most cases that I've had, they are pretty good with putting those in the comments. Okay, and then the last, well, these are just, the last page is just an overview of the codes and things that they put on the credit report. I want to show you guys something. This area down here is a 20-month payment history. Now, a payment history is actually the most chunk percentage wise of your credit report when it comes down to tallying the score. So I tell people this all the time: pay your bills on time in full. If you can't pay them in full, pay as much as you can, and at the very, very, very least minimum, pay the minimum balance. But I don't want you guys to go on thinking that paying the minimum balance on your credit cards are going to get you those high scores. We're looking for 700 or better. And if we're going to get a 700 credit score, then we have to understand how credit works, how to pay our bills, and what must be done. So in the least desirable situation, then you pay the minimum balance. At least you won't have a late payment. However, we want to pay our balances down as soon and as quickly as possible. Okay, so now, if you guys have any questions about the credit reports, feel free to email me at thinkpinkcredit@gmail.com, and I will answer any questions accordingly in a reasonable manner. Thank you guys, and tune in for my next video, and make sure you subscribe.